ANC has committed serious crimes against black people and against South Africans, all South Africans. What are the crimes of the ANC? Let's start with black people. The biggest crime that the ANC has committed against black people is education, public education. If you look at how white people, the English first, and secondly the Afrikaners, how they turned themselves around from conditions of poverty to become middle class and wealthy, education was at the center of that process. They built public schools for their children and made sure that their children received top education. One of the public schools I'm talking about is exactly this place where we are sitting, Wits. Wits was built by the English, supported by the mining industry right here in Johannesburg, to do what? They meant to educate the children of the English. That's why the Afrikaners later, they went next door to build the Rand Afrikaans University to do what? To do exactly what the English had been doing through Wits for their own Afrikaner children. The ANC has collapsed public schools in townships, has collapsed public schools in rural areas. It has actually collapsed universities. The quality of our universities has declined under the ANC. So what has that done? That has expanded the reservoir of black people who are uneducated, who are unemployable, and who are hopeless. So that's the first crime committed by the ANC. So when proper history is written, and by the way, like Churchill, Churchill said history would be kind to himself because he was going to write it himself, and he has written it. I'm going to write this history, so I'm not going to leave it to some amateurish historian. The second failure of the ANC is this: is the failure to add a significant component to the South African economy, a component that would provide work for black people. So again, let's go back to the English. What did they do in South Africa in relation to the economy? They built mines. At the top of those mines, you found the English and the Jews, by the way. They were the owners and the managers of those mines. Below them, the petty bourgeoisie, again, the English and the Jews. That's how the English eventually in South Africa dug themselves as a collective out of poverty. And at the bottom, underground, the people who were doing the hard work, they were dying underground, were blacks. Afrikaners, what did they do? They built parastatals. Your Escoms of this world, your Telcoms of this world, your Escors of this world. To do what? To provide employment to the Afrikaners. So an Afrikaner would be found at a robot begging. He would be picked up by an average middle-class Afrikaner and say, no, you are embarrassing us. You need to go and work. And this chap would be taken to Telkom and be given a job. And a black fellow would be taught that this is your new boss, you must teach him work. So the Afrikaners built parastatals in order to provide employment to their own people. And there was also a component of industry, by the way, financed through the activities of the British Bond. Your rupees of this world, by the way, the first rupee was financed through arrangements involving the British Bond. Now, let's come to the ANC, which is the sin it committed. What is it that the ANC has built that provides employment to black people? That's the question. Oh, look at the previous 30 years. The ANC has built nothing. You know what it has done? It has destroyed the little that the whites had built. You come from Tembisa. You know what I'm talking about. The factories around Isando, the factories around Kempton Park, which used to be bustling manufacturing centers. A lot of them have actually closed down. I come from Mpumalanga. I live in a township called Mukhuhlu. There used to be an industrial site in Mukhuhlu. You want to cry when you see that industrial site today. Nothing is happening there. And what I'm telling you, South Africans know across the country has happened. So the ANC has committed a huge sin. At the same time, it has enriched a few of its cadres. The first band was the band of Sakima Kozo, that group. Bulelani Ngcuka. They are very rich. Are they creating employment for millions of black people? Show me these jobs. So that's the second, and that's economic, the second crime. The last crime that the ANC has committed is to confirm racism, that racism historically has been correct. That white people, what they have been saying throughout history, that black people cannot govern. Black people are backward. They are uncivilizable. The ANC has confirmed it. This stuff, it's heartbreaking. The ANC, for the sins it has committed, must never be forgiven by black people. It is the only party that enjoys the kind of overwhelming support from black people. And what did it do? It squandered our support. It made us to be the laughing stock of white people, but it also made black people to be the laughing stock of the world. The blacks of South Africa were the last hope, by the way, in the world. Historically, black people have been victims of racism. And the theory was simple. Black people are half human. They are not civilizable. They cannot govern themselves. And if you look across the world, by the way, you will struggle to find a country with significant global clout that is governed by black people, that is making technological advancements the way China, for example, has proven whites wrong. Remember, whites in the world have also believed that Chinese people, Japanese people, the yellow peril, can't govern themselves. They are uncivilizable. But the Asians, the Chinese, the first was the Japanese, by the way, turning around from 1868, the Meiji dynasty. They turned themselves around. In 1905, Japan defeated a European power, Russia, 1905, militarily, defeated Russia. And it was celebrated by the rest of Asia. And the Asians realized actually whites are not superior. Black people in South Africa, the ANC has said to white people, you have been correct to say we cannot govern ourselves. I was listening to the radio yesterday. The ANC government can't even provide clean linen in a hospital called Chris Hani Baragwanath. Chris Hani must be turning in his grave, by the way, when he sees what is happening in a hospital that is named after. Clean linen. What about building a factory? So those are the sins of the African National Congress as we close this year and we say this has been a historic year.
Sure.